Paper Girls is a TV show that came out on Amazon Prime Video this weekend. It is based on a comic series written by Brian K. Vaughan. Now, I have covered the first 2 volumes of the 6-volume series here on my channel, so watch those videos if you are interested to see some of the differences between the TV show and the comic. I am planning on covering the remainder of the series over the rest of the summer. So, what is Paper Girls about? It is about 4 newspaper delivery girls, and it is set in the 1980s. And these 4 girls get sucked into this crazy time travel adventure where they meet their future selves, and they are caught in the middle of this war between these 2 factions. This show reminds me a lot of Stranger Things mixed with the movie Stand By Me, mixed with various other time travel stuff you may have seen out there. Now, I personally really liked this show. While it is not perfect, I think it is pretty good. Now, some criticisms I've seen online are comparing this show to Stranger Things and saying it is ripping Stranger Things off. And I'll have you know that the comic book was written before Stranger Things even existed. So all that stuff with kids on bikes in the 80s with lots of 80s nostalgia around them and some sci-fi stuff going on was all established before Stranger Things was even a thing. Another criticism I've seen online about this show is people calling it woke, which kind of annoys me because there's nothing really political in this show. It just happens to star female leads instead of straight white men. But just because it stars females doesn't mean it's woke. Anyway, that label just kind of annoys me. If you don't like the show, you don't like the show, that's fine. But don't apply labels and start political discussions on stuff where it's not really warranted. Anyway, let's talk about the cast. I think the casting of the show is really good. And I am someone that gets really annoyed when TV shows or movies don't cast actors that match the source material. But this TV show really managed to nail down the cast. Erin, KJ, Mac, and Tiffany, I think, matched the look of their comic book counterparts really nicely. Erin, she is shy and timid, and she's adjusting to being new in town, and the actress really got that across. KJ is exploring her sexuality and dealing with being the rich girl. Mac is dealing with being the poor girl from a rougher upbringing and being kind of a hard ass. And Tiffany, she is dealing with being this over-ambitious girl with dreams of being valedictorian and going to MIT. And I feel they really nailed all of these character archetypes. I really liked all of the girls and how they were portrayed, and their various conversations they had over the course of the season. Now, were all of these young girls amazing actresses? Maybe not, but I thought they were all definitely passable, and some even very strong. I really liked the character of Mac, especially. I think she was my favorite. One thing I found kind of funny, though, is that in the comic, Mac is always smoking, and in the TV show, they still wanted to keep that part of her character, but they never wanted to actually let the young actress smoke. So Mac was always trying to find her cigarettes or trying to get a cigarette, but they never let her actually light up, which I assume was some sort of conscious decision by the executives at Amazon. Anyway, I like how the TV show expanded certain characters' backstories, and a lot of the girls got a lot more time with their future selves than they did in the comic book, so I am liking this expanded upon storyline that we got in the show. Mac, for example, had a whole story in season 1 with her brother Dylan, who was kind of absent in the comics, but in the show was probably one of the more fleshed out future storylines. Beyond the casting of the girls, I thought Ali Wong as adult Erin was pretty good, and I thought it was kind of funny that Jason Mantzoukas as grandfather, who was kind of the big villain in the comic and the show, was also pretty funny casting because Jason basically looks exactly like grandfather in the comics without even trying. They didn't even have to change his hairstyle, so that was kind of amusing to me. Now, I would say the story is staying relatively true to the comics, which is something I do like. Like I mentioned, the casting is pretty on point. Now, some of the girls' adventure goes in a little bit of a different direction, and we are introduced to different characters, and we meet some of the girls' future selves in a way that is different than in the comic, but for the most part, the gist of the story is relatively the same. Now, there are a few things in the comic that I wish made its way into the show. For example, I thought it was funny how Apple was the one responsible for a lot of this time travel technology in the comic, and that is ignored in the TV show, maybe for copyright reasons or brand reasons or something. I also thought that there was some good banter between young Erin and adult Erin that was present in the comic that was maybe altered in a way that wasn't as good in the TV show. However, on the flip side, the TV show is adding some storylines and plot points and stuff that was not present in the comic that I really appreciate and think expands the story a lot. So, I'm a little bit mixed on things. There's some good, some bad, but overall, I'm kind of pleased with the adaptation so far. Now, I do want to mention the CGI and the look and direction of the show, which I find maybe a little bit lacking. Maybe there needed to be a little bit of a bigger budget to get some of this time travel, high science fiction stuff across. So that is one part where maybe it was a little bit lacking. In conclusion, while season 1 was not perfect, the CGI was maybe not the best, the budget could have been a little bit better. I think maybe the story could have been laid out a little bit more clearly, especially for people that haven't read the comic. They might be a little confused. But despite some of these negatives, overall, I'm pretty much liking this opening season. I liked the casting of the girls and having some of their banter and seeing the uniqueness of having these female leads was really great. And I was entertained throughout, and I really want to see a season 2, and I hope this show gets to finish its story. I think they could wrap up the story in the comics in about 1 or 2 more seasons tops, so I hope they get a chance to do it. I'm going to give this opening season of Paper Girls an 8 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. Check out my coverage of the Paper Girls comic if you have not, and I will see you all again in the future.